Okay, so thanks for joining everyone. So we've got a number of people on the call here today. We've got Sarah from Overton Garage in Aberdeen. Sarah, a bit of a wave.
Hi.
We've got Laura Richards from eBay, of course, with that wonderful background, Pimp My Ride in the background. Laura.
Hello.
And Georgia Carver. Georgia's been working with us at Auto Partner Solutions now for a couple of years, Georgia. And Georgia is part of our marketing consulting team, and we've been working very closely with Georgia. So Georgia's got some questions for us, and I thought it'd be great to have Georgia on this call as well.
Hello. Okay, great. Well, look, I do have some questions. I know there's a lot going out to market at the moment, in regards to exactlist and what APS are looking to do with eBay. And I felt that I personally, from the marketing team, had a lot of questions about how this worked, and sometimes think it sounds a bit too good to be true. There's got to be traps. What is it? And have obviously been told that that's not the case by you. But I thought, what better way to sort of, I guess, let your customers know, or potential customers know, that by getting one of your customers on board to actually talk to us about what we're doing. And we've got Laura here as well from eBay, just to answer those questions from eBay. So really, it's a conversation, an open conversation, where we can talk about what the benefits are, what any problems or hiccups that we are experiencing, or that Sarah has experienced, and then go from there. So what I'll do is I'll actually jump straight to it. And what I really wanted to do is I guess I wanted to go, straight to the meaty questions first, and find a bit more about the numbers and the stats. Sarah, can you tell us with Overton, I guess, can you tell us the average number of listings you had online pre-using exactlist?
Yeah, we had, I think it was about 7,000 average just before we started using it. We're now an additional 10, we're still at 22,000 now.
So, sorry, and what was the first number was, did you say 7,000?
7,000, yeah.
And you've gone up to 22,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's quite a big jump. And do you put that increase purely down to exactlist?
100%. There's no way we could have ever had the staff and capabilities to load that much listings in that amount of time. No way at all.
Okay, and I guess in terms of percentage for your actual sales, because it's great to have all those listings on, but obviously when you still need the numbers, if you still need the sales to go through, what was the actual percentage, I guess, of sales increase since you've implemented exactlist?
It's officially doubled. Technically, it's essentially doubled our income for eBay online sales, if not a little bit more.
Okay, fantastic.
So Georgia, we started with Sarah and Overton at the start of May, as Overton was one of the pilot customers that eBay supported, Overton's through that first 2 month period. So we've been 4 months now. We're just about right at the end of the 4th month. So that's a good result. Yeah.
Yep. 4 months and you've doubled. I guess, and from, I'm introducing Laura here in eBay and we're jumping over, but while we're on numbers, obviously eBay's on board and eBay want this program to work. Laura, if we're talking about numbers from an eBay perspective, can you pre-customers, and I guess the customers that have got exactlist, what sort of numbers did they have of parts online pre-exactlist with eBay?
Sure. So Sarah from Overton was part of the pilot group of the 6 sellers that we worked with in May and June. So in terms of those group of sellers had just under 5,000 listings.
Yep.
Was that 55 or?
5,000.
5,000, sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
On a weekly one, right? Yeah.
On a weekly. So it's gone up 5,000 on a weekly basis.
So if we look at the pre the pilot, we were running at an average of 5,000 listings with those 6 sellers.
Yep.
Once the pilot closed, we were at just under 7,500 listings on a weekly average. So basically that's a 56% increase in live listings pre and post.
Yeah,
which is pretty significant.
And obviously eBay and Auto Partner Solutions are now looking to increase that and bring in more listings and more parts and more customers on board using the program. That's the correct understanding? Is that just the people out the back there like me. We're catching up. We're just making sure we're all staying online. Sarah, going back to you, I guess, in the interest of being really candid, and I'm asking the questions that Chris may or may not ask, I guess trying to be a little bit more, has the program actually been able to help you streamline your business? I know it's obviously increased your numbers, but is it helping to streamline the business as well? Is it
100%.
It's actually adding value?
When you hire somebody to list parts on eBay, you've got to spend 5-6 months training them. They need to understand Pinnacle, they need to understand what parts are, they need to 100% know exactly what they're doing. And you invest that much time and labor training someone to fundamentally sit and list on eBay all day. You're overqualifying somebody for what you want them to do. And it can quite a mundane job sitting listing on eBay, it can be. So you're training someone and paying them a wage to do a job far higher than what you need them to do. And it's so much easier for us. Like, we don't have to worry about training somebody. The person, like Jamie or Anne, whoever we're using at the time, they know Pinnacle, they know the system. We don't have to worry about any training. We can literally just give them a list and say, list this.
Yeah. So, and that's the auto pattern solutions element, isn't it, Chris? That's where you literally, that's where we take over. APS takes over and they go, great, give us all the listings. APS is providing those staff the trained staff to upload those lists.
Yeah. So from our perspective, we want to make it as seamless as possible for the customer. Now, the reality is that, and Sarah, you were one of the first 6. That said, we've been listing on eBay for customers for nearly 10 years now. Our trainer actually started with us back in 2012 under a different guise, but certainly he's been with us since that period. And he's done listings on eBay for that period of time. So that said, when you try and scale something up, there are other challenges that come into it. And to a degree, the first 6, yes, Sarah's got a heap of benefit out of it, but we've learned a lot as well along the way. And we've streamlined a lot of, the process as well and made it as easy as possible for our customers to onboard. But at the same time, let's be realistic about it. It's a change in anyone's business. So we as a company, as APS, providing that service, providing that solution, need to make it as efficient, as seamless as possible for the customer. Otherwise, it's too hard. So that's our goal. That's where we're at, and training our staff. So, for example, our goal with eBay for October is to onboard 20 sellers in October. Okay, so it's a stretch goal. We want to get there. To onboard 20 sellers in 1 month is a big job, right? We have meetings, and Sarah, we did it once with Sarah, and every customer sees us once, but we have a meeting to work through what is the process, what do you want us to list, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a bit involved there. So we're streamlining that to make it as easy as possible. And during the month of September, we're training all of these people, right? So the recruitment process is nearly done. And now we're into the training period for the whole.
So that's done for the client. That's done for the recycler, right? They just come in. And so, Sarah, it basically, my understanding is it takes away that HR aspect. You don't have to do the 5-6 months training that you mentioned. You don't have to hire anyone, or you can put them into another role within the business. You're not having to have a bum on a seat that you're managing to do that job.
I think as well, staff is an issue for everyone at the moment. The whole industry is struggling to get staff. And it just really helps you. But what's good about it as well is the biggest asset of your company to someone else take on for you. You worry about the control of it. But the system's so bespoke. Like, I can say to Chris, right, I need X, Y, and Z, and it's molded to us. And I believe that every other cycler would be the same. It's molded to suit them. The end outcome's the same, but you have the input. You don't lose control over your stuff. They keep it for you.
Yeah. So that's which is obviously that's something that I guess I would ask from a non. Do you find that there's a roadblock between having someone sitting there physically in your office versus sending this off and then getting it? Do you have any kind of hesitation or issues with that, or you find it just because it's streamlined and because they're so well trained, it just literally happens?
It just literally happens. But on the other side of things, like, if you've got any issues, that we had a really small issue this morning, picked up the phone to Chris, it was sorted in 10 minutes. And if that had been here, I don't think it would have been sorted as quick.
Mm.
But you've got someone at the other end of email or the phone instantly that you can get anything sorted straight away.
Yeah, well, that obviously that's really
I
important.
think the bespoke aspect of it, Sarah, that you mentioned, again, obviously I'm spruiking the service, but what we know, but you know, I look at it and sometimes, you know, my friends will go to a coffee and they'll say, how's business going and how you know, and we tell them that, you know, things are happening really nicely and we're growing and all that type of stuff. What's different about our remote service compared to going online and finding someone at, you know, X dollars an hour and trying to get them trained up? The difference is that we've developed all of those systems and processes to 1, recruit, to 2, train, to 3, deploy, to 4, manage, you know, so we've got all those processes set up. But not only have we got them set up to provide a service to a customer, we've got them set up to provide a service to the automotive recycling industry. Because my life's been automotive recycling for the last 30 years, giving away my age. But anyway, for the last 30 years, I've been involved in the automotive recycling industry. And I know what the Sarahs and what the Marks and whoever else it is out there needs specifically. So that's where we try and be really, really bespoke with what we build, so that when we deploy it, as I said before, it's quite seamless. We try and make it as easy as possible without learning on the go, right? Because we don't have to learn. We know the industry, we know it inside out. So it's then about adapting the service to Sarah's very specific needs. We all sell parts, all the industry sells recycled parts, but how we do it in each of our businesses is slightly different. And we need to fit into the business, not the business fit into our service. And that's what we try and do.
And Sarah, I guess knowing that it's seamless and it works, do you find, I guess on the flip side, do you find that there's a level of accountability having someone sitting at the other end going, okay, what do you want me to list, or how many parts am I listing today? Does that sort of give you, I guess, you know, a checklist of, oh, we've got to make sure that we're getting that data across? Or,
Yeah,
and did that
100%.
change between having someone on site versus having someone at the other end of the computer?
It's almost like you don't have to babysit someone. Like when you've got a member of staff in the office with you every morning, you've got to give them their targets. Every day you've got to make sure they're doing X, Y, and Z. But it's literally end of every week, I can run an Excel report. This is what I need listed to eBay. This is what my templates are set in the background. And I can just fire it off. This is what I need you to do. Then they'll come back to me at the end of the week. We've done X, Y, and Z. Can you give me more? And that frees me up the income of a staff member to go and hire someone else to do a more productive job in-house. Like we've literally last year, we moved across from an old system across to Pinnacle. And it meant we had to inventory every single part in our stock. Now we've inventoried so far 200,000 parts to give you an idea of how much we went through. And we've still got probably another 500,000 parts to put onto the system to sell. The more parts I can get listed, the more we can sell. This allows me the extra body to work in my inventory department because I'm not tied up having to list to eBay.
So it's valuable from not just, I guess sort of wrapping that up, it's valuable from an HR point of view, but it's also valuable from, you know, I guess the staff member and the accountability and your time. It's freeing up your time. It's giving you an opportunity to hire in other more valuable places. And obviously we know for a fact that the numbers are there, like we've already seen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm intrigued to understand, Laura, from an eBay point of view. I guess, again, trying to sort of not pick holes in what it is, but I guess sort of understand why is eBay kind of getting behind the auto recyclers and selling of parts? Like what does eBay have planned longer term? And what does eBay, I guess, expect of these recyclers and sellers coming on? Like how does eBay fit into it all, I guess?
Yeah, so historically over the last 3 years, we've seen for the overall category a clear correlation between growth of live listings and growth of sales, so ultimately turnover. So we understand in order to make more money within the recycling sector, you have to basically put more physical products on. And the recycling sector is very different if you compare us to other categories on eBay, for example. So some sellers who sell new car parts, they'll ultimately get a catalogue of brake pads, optimize it once and leave their listings live. And all they have to do is update the stock. However, with the recyclers, there is such a manual process to be able to actually list the products. that we thought, okay, I tell you what, it's hard to get labour in the UK. I think just echoing Sarah's point earlier, let's help the recyclers, let's help the certified group with ultimately getting their physical staff able to inventory more product, where we can take on the brunt of the work, which is actually getting their products up onto eBay. So with that in mind, and with the results of the pilot, eBay has agreed to continue to invest in the sector to give them more support, which is absolutely fantastic, I think.
Yeah.
And just sorry.
No, you go, Chris.
On that, I mean, you know, we talk about, and obviously I do some work for eBay, as people know, but you know, the UK market, and I was on a call with a recycler in the UK last night, and I have to say that from an eBay perspective in the UK, I've got a lot of customers in the US, and the comment they make to me, how on earth has eBay invested so much in the automotive recycler in the UK? Because we'd love eBay to do the same thing here in the US or eBay in Australia. And on that note, we've started doing some work with eBay in Australia in a very similar program on a very small scale. But I have to say, from an automotive recycler perspective, you know, Sarah's been very, Laura's been very, very supportive, and Tony, her boss, has been very supportive of the industry with the certification program and with other events and promotions with collision repairers and so forth. This is another, you know, sign of their commitment to the industry. And I think on behalf of auto recyclers, I need to say it. I need to keep on saying it. And that is that eBay is doing so much for the automotive recycling industry in the UK. It's quite incredible. And, you know, thank them for that, because it really is a big thing that they're doing. We shouldn't take it for granted.
I agree completely. I dread to think where we'd be with our listings if we hadn't had this on board. There's no way we would ever be at the levels we're at just now. It would take us probably about 2 years to catch up if we were doing this manually ourselves. And that's a fact. And that's 2 years losing money.
Yeah, right. That's huge just there in that sort of statement there, saying that it's 2 years. I mean, if it's like I said, it's silly for people not to get on board with this. But I guess assuming that there are recyclers out there who are still having questions and still aren't sure of the value of exactlist versus their own input, because say they have a couple of good staff members sitting there doing it and they're happy with their numbers. As I guess as a comparison of staff in-house versus, you know, working with the actual exactlist team, you've had experience now in the months that you've been doing this, actually working with Chris, but also the broader exactlist team. How's that experience been?
It's been really, really good. We're actually now looking to scale up and open our other sites to do the same thing. And we might even need to look at getting a second lister for Aberdeen. That's how good it is.
I'm really sorry. I have to just jump for 2 seconds off. I'd literally be about half a second. I apologize.
You're right. Oh, good. It is, it's 5 to 10 at night here. So I'm tipping that
Child
may have either some children somewhere in the background or a dog or something like that.
It was a dog. It was a dog. Sorry. I'm so sorry. And
I was just saying that it's 5 to 10 in Australia. So
no, I'm sorry. She was just, yeah, anyway, it was going to end badly.
We
solved that problem though. So jumping back in, I'm so sorry to have cut you off, but your experience with the exactlist team, obviously you're saying you're going to probably look at another lister. And I know you mentioned earlier you had an issue this morning. So do you just can go straight to Chris or straight to one of the team members and it's resolved?
I've got open access to both, and that's the great thing. I mean, it's not like they give you this product and then they walk away like a lot of other companies do. The support's there if you need it instantly. The only thing I can say to any breaker is if you've got a member of staff in your team that's on your eBay team listing, you've got a really good member of staff, because the listings need to be so specific to sell the part. You've got a member of staff, in my view, that you're undervaluing. That member of staff could go work elsewhere in your company. It'd be more beneficial for you, and you can outsource the work to Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
I think one of the things there is, you know, the Sarah and Overton enlist a couple of the products that we sell. One of them is exactlist, and the other one is the exactlink product. Again, eBay is supporting exactlink, which is the optimization tool. So all the manufacturer part numbers and vehicle compatibility and so on and so on and so on gets populated. So we list the part, and then once it's listed within 12, 24 hours, it's come into exactlink and pushed back into the eBay live listing with all of the dressings, manufacturer part numbers, vehicle compatibility, item specifics are now populating through as well. A number of different item specifics that are required or recommended item specifics are all flowing through. So, often, and again, the call I had last night with the gentleman in the UK, often people look for a silver bullet, right? What is that silver bullet? What is that one thing that's going to make a difference? Well, it's not the one thing. It's the combination of all of these things that actually deliver the outcome. And I think that's really important for everyone to understand. It's not just one thing or the other. It's not just us doing what we're doing from a listing perspective. It's Sarah and her team doing what they're doing at their end to support us, to provide that inventory in a timely fashion. And the other things that they're doing, the images that they're taking and so on. So that's sort of where we're at with it. We know that we're not the silver bullet. We know that we're not, just doing listing in and of itself isn't going to solve the problem. It's about working together as a team to actually get that outcome.
And doing that, Chris, do you find, or Sarah's probably better to answer that, but to get that information, get the better photographs, get the listings, do you find that the workload, is that a manageable workload, or you don't need a staff member as such to provide that report at the end of the month, Sarah? Do you just, it's kind of...
No, it takes minutes.
Yeah.
If you've got a strong team behind you, inventorying the parts, pricing an OEM and doing the images, it's done. It's literally just a click of a button. But going back to the HR issue, the biggest saving is cost. And that's what it comes down to. I mean, you're saving a lot of cost. I mean, what we pay for Chris monthly is probably working out half of what a full-time wage in the UK would be, depending on the area you live in. Then you've got holidays on top of that, national insurance, HR, all the hassle it goes with it. Let's be honest, it comes with staff. You're saving constantly all the time.
Yeah.
For no hassle. For literally just sending a report. And I think we've only had 2 instances in the 4 months when we had 2 small errors. Member of staff this ends, you're going to have a lot more than 2 instances of errors in a month, I can guarantee you.
Yes, typically. I guess, look, I keep coming back to this, but definitely the feedback that we've had before when we've gone out and marketed this product is that people come back and say it sounds too good to be true. What's the hidden cost? How does this work? And having you here, sort of eyeballing you now through the screen, is there any hidden cost? Are there any traps? Is there anything that people should be aware of that wasn't straightforward in the onboarding process?
Is that a question for Sarah, to me?
Not a question. Not your answer. Well, it's for Sarah. No, it's for Sarah. And I guess Laura as well. I'd be interested, from an eBay side. I mean, is there anything that, if I'm an auto recycler and I'm sitting here thinking, look, this sounds pretty good, but hang on, you're offering me something. Is this too good to be true? Is there any hidden things that I should be aware of?
From my point of view, no. I think the biggest thing is change. People don't like change, do they?
No.
And I think as well, technology is moving at such a rate that it could probably be quite hard for some of your managers to understand exactly what's going on. Sorry, excuse me, my computer's just beeping. And I think as of the control aspect as well, like I said earlier, you're passing basically the keys to the safe over to someone and asking them to look after it for you. And you don't need to worry. You just don't need to worry. I mean, you've got a back end team who know the system probably better than we ever would. And it's just, don't worry. That's all I can say. Embrace the change.
I think change is the biggest thing. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
It is. And like you said, in that industry in particular, technology is moving at such a huge rate that it is probably that daunting moment. But this is also one of those aha products which can get you into the online space faster and making more money sooner. Laura, I know we've talked about in the past GMV, but can you define the GMV targets that you guys have and sort of explain that a little bit more, and to me in particular, because that's not overly clear to me.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of what we've seen and what we'd like to see going forward is 35% increase in sales during the period of time. So basically, if you take the group of certified recyclers, for the ones that are using the exactlist tool, they actually also saw that although they're all growing very healthily, these guys also grew nearly 10% ahead of the overall certified recycle group. So yeah, I mean, we'd love to see continued growth of 35% for the recyclers that use the exactlist tool. And just to your question earlier, I think in terms of launching the program, the only thing from an eBay perspective that we need to be aware of is when you're enrolled in the program, we need to make sure that you've got enough limits to be able to actually list the volume of the product as well. So we do need a good notification in advance to be able to list, increase the limit count on that eBay account.
So that, you, Chris, that's what I was
just to clarify that, what we've had a couple of situations where we listed so many parts for customers, for sellers, that we hit the limit of the number of items they can actually list, that they're allowed to list. And then we had to stop for a couple of days because we hit that wall. We didn't know there was a wall there. But very quickly eBay was able to lift those limits to levels that we were able to then start listing and keep it going. So it's a good problem to have, but it's more a communication thing. And we're finding some new things out as we go. And that's one of the things that we need to be aware of, listing limits.
Of course. So
I can't remember. Sarah, did you hit that wall? Did we hit that wall with you at one stage, or was it someone else?
What was that, sorry?
Did we hit a listing limit wall for Overton at one point in time, or was that someone else? It might have been someone else.
No, it wasn't us. We came close twice. So we're now we're like on it a couple of weeks in advance.
Okay.
And so most recyclers will know those numbers, and they know what they ideally, if you say, can you find out your numbers? It's an open information as long as you know to look for it, yeah?
Right, it's in the Seller Hub dashboard for the eBay account.
Yeah.
It is there, but because this partnership with eBay now, obviously eBay's paying for the first 2 months of the exactlist service as part of this deal. So we're working closely with eBay so that let's say Overton Essex was going to come on board as one of the next group, then we would let eBay know that Essex is coming on. They're one of the ones that we need to fund for the 2-month period. And in the back end, the GCX team or the customer support team would make sure that the limits are appropriate there so that we can grow the numbers of listings as appropriate for that period.
Okay. And Chris, I know that, I mean, that's a nice segue, I guess, because you obviously have mentioned the fact that eBay are paying for this for the first couple of months. I mean, that's fundamentally is it just over £2,500 that eBay is basically paying up front for these auto recyclers. Laura, why are they doing that? I know you've sort of said before that you want more parts, more money, but is it really that simple? Is there any traps?
No, honestly, no trap. I think it's a fantastic return on investment, right? And eBay's clearly seen that. So invest in the recyclers, invest in their systems, and it helps them get more stock on. So it's complete no-brainer. And if it's successful, we'd like to see the recyclers continue to use the tool going forward as an actual part of their business, as an asset for their business. So yeah, it's a bit of a no-brainer.
So it is. It's sort of, I guess it's a win-win for everyone, right? It's a win-win for APS. It's a win-win for the recycler. It's a win-win for the eBay. There is no kind of person coming off or business coming off second best here. It's just everyone makes more money together if we move together rather than in pieces and bitsy bits.
And what the eBay,
sorry.
Just quickly, I was going to say, sorry, eBay's core value, one of its core values is we partner to help businesses grow. So I think this is a really good example of that.
It really is. Sarah, sorry, you were going to say something?
I think fundamentally as well, it's a no-brainer for the consumer. There's such a backlog of OEM parts at the moment. The more we can get listed on eBay, the more parts the customers can buy.
Yeah, and that's obviously universal everywhere. Parts are just really, I mean, parts are hard to find, right? So if there's more options and more places, and I guess it lends itself as well, because even if you've got the listing team, you may not have the sales team who can facilitate those phone calls and those orders. So if people can go directly to eBay and buy directly online, they're getting a faster service. It's quicker for them. They get the parts quicker. They probably get a more competitive price. And so we're all in agreement that everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
I feel like I'm starting to give away cards.
Let me give you an example of a real life example that's happened here in Australia just over the past couple of weeks. So, Kathy, you know Burke, and Sarah, you've met Burke,
Yeah.
our guy, our tech guy that knows Pinnacle really, really well. So Burke drives a Mustang, and he has a bit of a bingle. He hits a kangaroo. True story for the English people that he hit a kangaroo.
And they're really dangerous to hit.
They are dangerous, but luckily he skimmed the side of his right-hand guard, or as the people in the UK call it, the right-hand wing, and the right-hand wing mirror. So he's broken the door mirror and he's dented the guard, the wing. Both parts are not available from Ford, just not available. And they can't tell us when they're going to be available. So he's gone to his insurance company. Insurance company said, yep, here's the claim number, et cetera, goes to the repairer writes an estimate, calls him a week later, says, look, yep, everything's good, but we can't get the parts. Oh, when can you get the parts? We don't know. Ford can't tell us. So what do? I said to Burke, no problems. Let me just check. I jump on eBay. I find a door mirror in exactly the same color for him straight away from a business here in Melbourne, Grant Walker Parts. They've got the door mirror. The insurance company is able to get Burke on the road. Otherwise they would have had to pay for a hire car because without the door mirror, it's unsafe. So they've got the door mirror now. They'll be fitting it on Monday. He's got a drivable vehicle. The wing, they'll have to wait until the Ford gets a wing because we can't find a wing. But that's a real example. Not only could they get the wing mirror, they got it at probably about 40% of the new price. They're saving on the cost of a hire car. They've got a customer that's happy can drive his car around. Admittedly, it's not perfect because the right-hand wing's still damaged, but everyone's winning out of that deal, right?
Even
So
the insurance company's winning.
Even the insurance company, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
100%. They're wrapped. So, Sarah, to your point that the consumer wins as well, you're 100% correct. I think in that scenario, that's a real life example that's literally happening as we speak.
Sarah, now that obviously, now that we know that it works and obviously the pilot for you guys is coming to an end, are you planning on keeping exactlist?
Yeah, we're keeping it. We're going to expand on our listing as well. Yeah. And we're going to onboard our second site.
Okay. So you're there. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris, obviously we've got, with all that information, I guess the question now is, if I'm an auto recycler and I've listened to this riveting conversation and now I'm ready, I'm on board, this sounds great. What are the next steps that the auto recyclers need to take? How do they get involved? And obviously they want to save their £2,500, but they also want to, by signing up now, but they also want to increase their sales, right? Like they're ready. They want to make more money, as we all do. So how can they, what's the next step? What do they need to do?
So a good question, and I should have thought about that and had something ready to go, but I haven't. So basically, it's important that we jump on a call. So that's the first thing. So everyone can get in contact with me directly if they like at chris@autopartnersolutions.com. And then we'll coordinate with them and have a call with them. If they're in the UK, they can take advantage, and they're a certified recycler, a VRAC certified recycler, they can take advantage of the eBay offer. Obviously, the offer is only available in the UK for certified recyclers at this stage. But again, there's a registration of interest form that they'll need to fill out. If they send me an email, I can get them that form across. That'll get them in the wait list, basically. And currently, we've got October nearly full. So that 20 that we need for October, we're nearly at the point where we've filled that October list out. We're going to onboard 3 in September because we're a little bit short of time. And the view is that we get 20 into October and then proceed November. So one, email me because I don't know what the URL is for the registration of interest, but you can email me at chris@autopartnersolutions.com. Let me know that you're interested and I'll get you the registration of interest out if you're in the UK. If you're anywhere else, then you know where to get me and we can talk about when we can fit you in. But obviously,
I am. sorry, I'm interrupting you. If I am somewhere else, if I'm in Australia or the US or somewhere like that, is it worth me having a chat to you about ExactLink? Can you still?
Exactlist.
Yeah.
You can talk to us about ExactList. At this stage, though, obviously with this deal, you know, in the next 6 months, we've got to find potentially 90 sites or 90 people to start listing. So there's a big piece of work there. At this stage, we're running probably about 60 days lead time, simply because demand's far outweighing our ability to supply. So, but yes, the best thing you can do is just contact us so that we can get you, if it's something you want to do, we can get you in that queue. That's the best thing to do.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you, Laura, and Sarah, thank you. That was really, I know a lot more now, and I thought I knew a little bit. I thought I knew quite a bit, but I actually feel like I know a lot more now. So I appreciate your time, and Chris, obviously always good to get your explanations.
Thank you.
I'll say good morning to you all, and I'll say good night to me.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Georgia. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks,
Thank you.
Laura. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Bye.